Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 16 of the Anime Banter podcast with your hosts Turtle, Sean, and Mike. Thank you for joining us today. How are you guys doing?
Doing pretty well. How about you guys?
Also well, work is kicking my butt, but besides that, everything's just going great.
I'd be better if I could find a laptop. It is a pain in the ass trying to find a laptop with 16 gigs of RAM and a decent hard drive.
Yeah, I went searching not too long ago. I was thankful I found the one that I did.
I've been thinking about how during 2020, uh, companies started investing in laptops, and so did schools, like en masse. The demand was so high that it drove up the price of laptops, and I feel like they kind of just never brought them back down.
Yeah, like I'm looking at these prices. I'm like, what the hell? Like, even on sale, I'm like, what the why are laptops so it's like, oh, sale price $400. I'm like, wait, this used to be like the normal price.
Yeah, and I don't think it's inflation, honestly. I don't think the supply chain's figured itself out for the most part by now.
I
It's
think
not inflation, man. I think this is just they're willing to pay it 2 years ago,
exactly.
so they're
It's
still
like,
gonna pay it
oh,
now.
people are paying it, well, why should we drop the prices back down?
Yeah. At
It's just like
least
with
that's honest.
yeah, I mean, look at Pokemon cards.
Oof.
They went through a boom during COVID, and now a booster pack is $5.
Yeah, I got out of that game.
Yeah, I heard one of the sets busted was like completely busted.
Yeah, Crown Zenith, it had really good pull rates, but it almost spoiled the players because now the pull rates suck, and it's like, oh, well, give me more Crown Zenith.
Yeah. Yeah, people shouldn't be able to have a whole play set of cards. Come on.
Why would anybody want that?
It's like, oh, you want the good cards? Sorry, you're gonna need to buy 4 boxes to get one copy. You guys playing any games of late?
Yeah. Um This past Friday, me and a couple friends played through the game Man of Medan from the Dark Pictures anthology. It was, I've actually already played it once. It was the only one of those games where we made it from beginning to end without anyone dying the first time I did it. Second time we did it most recently, someone did die, but it was so close to the end that we could just do scene select and just redo it. So we still got like the full clear for it. But yeah, it was just fun playing through it again and getting a very different path to the ending.
I always want to play those games. I just never get around to doing it. Like, I know they're not the longest games in the world. Like, you can beat them in like a weekend, and I'm like, oh, I should like. I always want to play it. Like, what? I forget what the first one was.
Until Dawn.
Yeah, like that one and the query. Those ones are like super popular. I'm like, oh, I should play those. And like, I have both of them in my library because I have PlayStation Plus. I just never get around to it.
If you have, let me tell you, if you have like a wife or girlfriend who loves horror, you can just like, but doesn't like to play a lot of games. You can let them make a lot of the decisions, and you hold the controller. And it's like really fun for them because it's like watching a movie, and fun for you because you get to play games. So it's actually like a really fun thing to do if you're, of course, significant other likes horror.
The horror, the horror.
Turtle, what you playing?
I actually had a chance to open up my copy of Final Fantasy 16 finally and play a little bit of that.
Huzzah!
I know I'm like, behind the curve as always, but so far I'm really enjoying it. I know there's a lot of controversy, I guess, online of whether people like it or not. Some people love it, some people hate it. Um, I can see dislike because there's a lot of story and a lot of cutscenes. I happen to be a big fan of storytelling, and I'm kind of into this story, so I don't really care that there's not a lot of gameplay. And to be honest, I mean, it's it's an action RPG. I suck at action RPGs because my reflexes are really, really slow. So I put it on stupid mode, as I'm calling it. I think they call it story mode, but it's stupid mode, where it gives you like a time window to react to push the button, and sometimes I even fail at that. So, but I mean, just mashing the square button and watching how cool the visuals look, and then just having cutscene after cutscene of story. It's just the story is kind of sucking me into the world, so I'm enjoying it, but I can see why people would not like it.
It definitely does not play like a classic Final Fantasy game.
No. I mean, Final Fantasy has always kind of been pretty different from game to game, starting around, I guess, more dramatically starting with 7. Between 7 to 8, and then 8 to 9, and 9 to 10. It's been pretty drastically different and continues that trend, from 10 on. Kind of the first 6 are, I mean, there are differences between them for sure. But there's definitely more similar, the first 6 to each other than they are 7 onward. They start to get every game is kind of a totally different system, totally different story. And but I don't know. I mean, I'm liking it. It's very like dark fantasy. So if you're into that, you might like the story. Now then, again, I haven't beaten it yet, so I don't know if it gets weird or goofy or anything. But so far, I like it.
I've actually put Final Fantasy down for a little bit. I've been going back to Diablo trying to beat the main campaign with season 1 starting because the new season takes place after the campaign. So it's like you can either play the campaign during season 1 or you get the option to just, if you beat the campaign, you could just skip the campaign and jump right into the seasonal content.
Gotcha.
So,
Quick question with the seasonal content: is there like a season pass you have to purchase?
nope. Like there's a, you can buy the premium version of the battle pass for the season, but that just gives you cosmetics.
Oh,
Like all the story, it's sort of unlike Destiny where you need the season content, this like buy the season for to get the new seasonal arenas and battle and missions and everything. You get all the story content for free.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so you just get extra items and cosmetics and
Yeah,
stuff. That's a pretty nifty in their story, which is really interesting as well.
I will say Destiny's been killing the story and their seasonal content of late.
I've not played for more than 1 hour this season, and time is ticking.
I was gonna have you, did you beat Lightfall at least, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
beat the previous season's story content. I'm
It,
but this season I played for a total of one
oh
hour.
man.
Yeah,
This
I need to get on it.
season, the story has been insane, like straight up bonkers.
Crap.
There's some really like people are mad at the story because they're like, why was this not in Lightfall?
Well, yeah, a lot of people weren't thrilled with Lightfall in general.
Yeah, but there are
So
some really, there are some very big plot points in this season to shape the future. So
well, crap.
I
Looking
would
forward to it.
definitely hop on and start working through the seasonal story.
I should.
Eventually, we'll get Turtle to play Destiny with us.
I'm gonna
Mm,
have to pass on that one.
But
I'm
you,
done with shooter games. I had my brief stint, and I'm really bad at them, and I don't find them fun, so I don't play them.
but
it's okay,
you can shoot Force Lightning.
Eh.
You,
but
you
Turtle, don't you see that? Because you're liking Final Fantasy 16 so much, in the director and the music and the lead musician is they're the team from Final Fantasy 14. So instead of playing Destiny, you're gonna join us in Final Fantasy 14 then.
I mean, I really do like the music to 16 so far, so I'll give you
Ooh.
that. But I don't know. I don't like the idea of buying the game for 14 and then having to pay a subscription to play it. And I
Well,
know some of the early stuff is free.
it's free up the yeah the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy 14. Up to level 60 for free.
And then to
But
move on, I have to, pay.
yeah, I get it. Yeah, it's. I'm trying to remember how much I pay a month for it. Honestly, it's
isn't it
my
like
card.
15 a month? I think.
I think it's less than that
Oh, really?
actually. But yeah, but I do. Uh, my card is on a set it and forget it with 14 because now that I own a house in the game, I'm pretty much owing the money forever.
That's how they
Uh,
get you.
yeah, no, yeah, because if you don't enter your house for 45 days, it's automatically bulldozed.
That sucks.
Yeah. So,
Yikes.
yeah. So keep paying.
Pay us, or lose everything.
Yeah, actually, that's how it is. Don't get a house unless you're serious.
Almost sounds like real life advice too.
Yeah, actually, the Final Fantasy 14 housing market for a while was pretty much the same as the real life housing market, and it was really depressing. But hey, we won't talk about the housing market because I know too much. I could go on for a very long time.
Shall we jump into some Vinland Saga?
Yeah, let's talk about something more fun.
Let's do it.
Today, we are talking about episodes 3 and 4 of Vinland Saga Season 1. Episode 3, Troll. We pick up where we left off with episode 2 of Floki and Askeladd talking about killing Thors. And Askeladd calls Thors the Troll of Yam. And Askeladd seems a little surprised that Floki is putting this hit out on Thors, calling Thors a hero. And Floki's like, he's not a hero, he's a deserter, and he broke the Yam's Viking law. And according to Floki, Thors was sentenced to execution 15 years ago. And Askeladd seems like he doesn't really seem to be buying it, especially for the small amount he's getting paid. And he demands another 5 pounds of gold in advance. And Floki's like, no, the deal is the deal. Either take it or leave it. And the only reason Floki budges is because Bjorn throws a spear right between the two and actually kills a man behind the curtain.
That was a crazy scene, and I was not expecting that to all be kind of like a setup, which they talk about right after this happens. But the spear comes flying through, and I thought it was just like it hit the wall, and they had a quilt or blanket or something over the wall, and that was it. And after they're done talking, they pull the blanket back, and there's a dead guy back there. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised by that too. Just thought it came out of nowhere. But hey, this show rocks.
Yeah, it does.
You just have spear chucking and people getting killed, and you're like, yeah.
So Floki takes the deal. Askeladd gets another 5 pounds of gold in advance. And when they're cleaning up shop, Askeladd kicks over the barrel of booze, and all I could think of was Pluto from Animal House. They took the bar! The whole fucking bar! You don't waste booze.
Negative. You just don't do it.
Like, save it. Put it on the ship.
At least we know what all his gold is going to.
You might go through a drought of booze.
More booze.
I feel like that's the only way he can get his men to like follow and stop goofing off. It's like I have to dump the booze, otherwise they're just going to be here all day.
Let's talk about the whole awkwardness at the island of the five villagers getting on the boat with Thor's, and like they're all so awkward. Like you can clearly tell they have never left the island before. Like Ari goes and knocks on the door of Thor's and Helga's home, and is very awkward around Helva, like pretty much saying, "Hey, maybe when I get back, I'll become a man." And like he's insinuating like maybe the two of us can get married, and I'll bring you this nice necklace back off of an English woman. And he's like stuttering through the entire thing, and Yova's having like none of it. And Ari's mom shows up with a bagged lunch for him, like, "Honey, don't forget your lunch and share it with the others." And Ari's like, "Mom, I'm trying to talk to Yova and ask for her to marry me, and you're embarrassing me. And oh, geez, I just wanna, oh, you're the prettiest girl in the village." So then Ari leaves, and we see not one, not two, but three men keep coming up to Yova's door, like pretty much asking the same thing for her to marry them. And she's having none of it. And whenever I'm seeing this, I'm like, is Yova the only single woman on this island or something? Like, there are five men going with Thor's, and four of them went to Yova's door.
So,
Well, I think about
what are you doing after the war?
I think about small village situations like that, and how say you live in a village and say there's less than 100 people. Well, if there's a disparity between like the number of young men to young women, like it could probably get pretty weird because you're like, okay, in our village there's like, say there's like three young women, but like five young men. Obviously, two of those men are going to be out of luck. So I guess they just have to go somewhere else.
Oh, so you mean sort of like whenever I was a computer science major in college?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah.
I
Rest
don't
in
even
peace.
I don't even want to talk about my educational path. Educational is in
You
quotations.
mean majoring in Halo 3?
No. Well, you see, about that, I played a lot of Halo back in my college days, and I didn't do much colleging, but I racked up a ton of debt, so there's that.
Yay.
I got that going for me.
I love how after Ari walks away, Yova's like, they're departing today. I hope they don't die. It's like, oh, thanks for caring, Yova.
Things you don't say.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like things you're not supposed to say right before bad things happen. Like that's yeah. It's I don't know. I read that and I just busted out laughing because we obviously know what's coming with Thor's and everything, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's too good.
I love how at the dock, there's another mom embarrassing one of the villagers, making sure he remembers to bathe on Saturdays. And the guy's like, "Mom, I know how to bathe, I know when." It's like this episode is all about the moms embarrassing their sons.
Yeah, they
I
just want to make sure that their sons are safe and warm and well fed on their journey, I guess. But it is really funny.
I feel like there's a documentation that moms have to sign once the child is born. Like you will be as embarrassing as possible when the time comes.
So while we're on the dock, we learn that Thor's only taken 5 men with him on the expedition. And like in episode 2, it seemed like Floki wanted him to bring like a lot more than 5 men. Like he was going to be a patrol ship and like they were going to help like do things. It's like it seemed like Floki wanted him to bring 20 men. And
All the
like
men.
yeah. And it's like we know what's coming. We the viewer. We know that there's a trap set for Thor's. And we know Thor's is in trouble. And it even seems like the villagers don't believe that Thor's has taken enough men with him.
Yeah, and the men he did take with him are well, let's just say they haven't had much practice in real combat. It's it's Thor's versus the world.
I mean, do we know any of their names besides Ari? Like, it's like, okay, it's
Nope.
Thor's, it's Ari, and it's 4 random villagers. Villagers 1 through 4.
Yep.
These are like top quality red shirts, man.
We, the viewer, believe Thor's is in trouble with not taking enough people and that these villagers are going to get slaughtered. And it's not until a potential suitor for Ari runs up and, like, is like, don't die, come back. Like, pretty much like, Ari, I will marry you if you come back. And Leif tells the potential suitor, like, hey, Thor's has only taken the 5 villagers, but we're stopping in Norway so I can do some trading, and Thor's is going to leave the villagers behind so they don't get killed in battle, and Thor's is going to go on his own.
I thought that was a really cool play from Thor's. Like he's being forced to re-enter the battlefield, which he doesn't want to. So he's like, all right, well, I'm gonna bring 5 of these useless dudes with me, only to turn around and send them home when the time comes because I'm the only one who knows how to actually fight. I was like, that's actually pretty clever the way he planned it. So I thought it was cool.
Yeah, he just like
It,
took the bare minimum to run a ship.
it's a
And
twist I didn't see coming.
it's less than half, seeing that he rows half the one side of the boat all by himself.
Oh, I died when that happened, dude. This giant paddle, and he's like, I got this.
You have 5 guys on one side and just Thor's on the other.
And it was like they start rowing, and like 2 of the guys on the other side are like, "What the hell's going on? How does he do that?" And the other ones are like, "Hurry up and keep up." It was so good.
I love I want to say I love the character design of Thor's because he looks like every anime protagonist from like the 80s into like the very early 90s. I think about like Fist of the North Star, Jonathan Joestar, Berserk. Like I think about these characters who like they were built like these gigantic beefcakes. They're just like tall, broad, muscular men, and like Thor's is built that way, and everyone else is not. Like he almost looks out of place.
Yeah.
when I see him. Like, 'cause he's just so much bigger than everyone else.
We're at one of the moments that I really did not like Thor's in these two episodes. Everyone's leaving, everyone's saying their goodbyes, and I was surprised that Thorfinn was nowhere to be found while everyone was saying goodbye. And even Thor's like, "Where's Thorfinn?" And it made me really mad when Thor's was talking to Helga, and he's like, "When you see Thorfinn, tell him," and like he couldn't say what he wanted to say, which was "I love you." And Helga's like, just like looked at him like, "I know, I'll tell him." And he's like, "Okay, thanks." It's like, damn it, Thors, stop with the toxic masculinity and tell your son you love him.
Well, I mean, he wasn't there, and some guys just aren't great at talking about touchy-feely stuff.
Be better, damn it. Be
Well,
better.
you can tell kind of based on his story later that Thor's is not the best at touchy feely
Oh
stuff.
yeah, but just
Yeah.
like
The birth of Ylva.
yeah,
We'll
the
get to it,
the
but
toxic
still.
masculinity with Thor's at that and these two episodes pissed me off at times. It's like, dads, say you love your kids, show your emotions. It's not that bad. Like, it's fine. Open yourself up.
I do have to say with the flashback that you mentioned, we'll get there. I mean, I feel like he has improved, but he still has a way to go. You can always strive for improvement.
Agreed.
So we're on the boat, and they're finally catch the wind so they can stop sailing. And I was laughing my ass off at how the one villager was rubbing his ass. I'm like, I had to pause and I'm like, wait, is he rubbing his ass? Like, I thought it was like his head, and they were just like, it was a weird angle. And it's like, nope, he is literally rubbing his ass because his ass is so sore from sitting. And then the other guy's complaining about his hands being sore from rowing.
I mean, I would complain too, but then again, I'm not a Viking.
Yeah, it was just like, okay, these villagers are already complaining about rowing. What are they going to do in a battle?
Yeah.
Die.
Yeah.
Yelp. But yeah, the rubbing of the ass got I laughed pretty good at.
Yeah, that was a great scene. And he asks Ari to, hey, can you do whatever? I don't remember what he asked him to do. And he's just sort of like sitting there. He's like, "What, are you tired?" He goes, "No, no, I'm fine." And he gets up to go do whatever he was asked to do. It's like, "No, we're totally good here. We are manly warrior men. We're fine."
And then like Thorfinn and Leif are talking about, okay, we're out in the sea, we caught the wind, and you just hear a voice like, "Are we away from the island?" And Thorfinn's like, "Yep, we're good." He's like, "Is it safe to come out, father?" And Thorfinn's like, "Yeah, well, you can come out." And he's like, "Wait, father?" It's like, "I'm father." And Thor's busts out of this barrel and immediately goes to the edge of the boat and just takes a piss off the boat because he's been holding it for so long.
Can't leave kids unattended, man.
I was losing it that entire scene because it's like, he's like, "Father," and Thorfinn's like, "Yes, it's safe." And he's like, "Wait, I'm father." And then there's Thorfinn is like, oh. I mean, at least for me, I know there's those moments where I'm like, I have to go to the bathroom so bad, and then you finally get to go, and you just like breathe that long sigh. You're like, oh, that feels so good.
Yeah, no, I've been there.
I'll say I think everybody's been in that situation at least once.
So we're back to Askeladd, and he's talking to his flunkies, and he's like, I think Floki's playing a trap on, like playing a trick and planning a trap and everything. He's like, why are we the ones going after Thor's? And if it was the word from the leader, then why is Floki not doing this? Unless Floki wants plausible deniability. Like, he's like, something doesn't add up. He's like, I mean, we're still going to do the job, but something doesn't add up here. And he's living up to the Loki name.
Yeah, I think this is the show's way of foreshadowing that Floki is gonna cause a lot of problems in the future.
Yeah, like Askeladd is really just like a hired goon, right? Floki's the real brains potentially behind what's going on, and I am wondering about the double cross when Askeladd shows up with the body. Is Floki really going to pay him? Who knows?
So now we're at the second part of the episode where I hated Thor's, and it's the flashback scene. And Ari's like, it starts with Ari and Thor's talking about like war and killing and like meeting a girl because even Thor's like, you like my daughter, don't you? He's like, yeah, yes, sir, I do. She's really pretty and she's single and I'm gonna become a great warrior and we're gonna get married and if that's okay with you, sir. And Thor's like, yes, my daughter is single and pretty, and I know what it's like. So I married the leader of our village, which I thought that was a pretty cool little note of Helga. It's like, oh, she was like a very important person in her village.
Well, she's the leader's daughter,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, and he's like, the leader wanted a son, so could you do better next time?
E- And that so like that flashback, like oh, I was so pissed at Thor during that flashback. Like he was just such a shitty dad and a shitty husband. It's like Yova, like Helga just gave birth, and Helga's like, "You have to name her," and he's like, "No, I don't care. Like, name her whatever the hell you want." And like, he's not holding Yova correctly at all, and like, he's mad at Yova for giving birth to a girl instead of a boy, and he's mad at how loud Yova is, and like he's like being all sorts of pissed because he doesn't want to be a girl dad. Like he's a man, so he only needs boys for his bloodline. And I love how Helga stands up to Thor and Thor's like, "Look, name the damn baby. Like she is your daughter. Name her right now."
I really did like that. Even just like the look on her face when they drew her. It's like, oh. And it does make him stop in his tracks, like, oh, I guess I made her pretty angry.
He realizes
That was a dick move.
he realizes he fucked up.
Did
Yeah.
he say that was the first time she ever got mad at him?
Yes,
Yes.
but like, it's like I don't have kids, so I don't know that process per se. But it's like, dude, just be happy you had a baby. Like, okay, yeah, you didn't have a boy, but like, you have a healthy baby. Like, don't be a dick.
This is also like Vikings.
Yeah,
So you kind of have to put that in perspective. It's a really, really long time ago in a people that are warriors, and the women at the time were not warriors. So to him, that's like, well, what am I supposed to do with this kid? I can't train this kid to be a warrior. It's a girl. That was an old timey, philosophy that doesn't make sense. See, there are plenty of women in the armed forces for America, and whether you're a man or a woman, you can be a warrior. That doesn't matter. But this is like in the Viking way, it was only guys. So, and like I said, from this flashback to where we see him in the current time, he's better. He has improved, but he still has a long way to go. But yeah, I mean, this scene was like, whoa, how could you just like not care about your child at all? Because it's not a boy. That makes no sense.
Yeah, and it's not that, I mean, in Viking times there were female warriors. It was just they're far less than men. Like, yeah, I think a lot of women were trained to fight potentially. I could be completely wrong, but I have heard that this author, like the mangaka who made Vinland Saga, did extensive research on Viking culture, and I guess I can see that they have gone back to the Henry VIII way here of not knowing, you know, blaming your wife when they have a girl. Uh,
How dare you?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh, good thing Thorfinn was born. Let me tell you, otherwise he'd have found a new wife. I don't know about that.
Wave is talking, and they're talking about like they're sailing, and they're like, "Oh, well, where are we?" And I just love how the map showed up to show like the geography of where the boat is compared to like where they left and where they're going. Like I thought that was really cool, and I hope they continue that using that in future episodes where they're sailing from place to place. And I also love how Thor's Island is just called Island on the map.
Well, it is. Well, it's Iceland.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's Iceland, but I just love how on the map it's called Island.
Is it just spelled Island? I didn't
Yes.
catch that.
Yep.
I didn't catch that either.
It's like Island. Island?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the way they spelled it didn't have the English alphabet
Yeah.
probably at
That's
that time.
that's
So
true. That's true. So we're coming up on the Faroe Islands, and we're in like a little channel, little shortcut, and Leif notices something is afoot, and Thor's like, "What's going on?" He's like, "I don't know there, but something's wrong. Like there are less houses over yonder than there were the last time I was here." And it's like, okay, that seems like a weird thing to notice. It's like natural disasters, shit happens. Like, doesn't necessarily mean something is afoot. But Thor's agrees and believes they should turn back. And then they just drop the fucking houses to block them in. It's like, and then there's just that random chair at the end being dropped.
Yeah, it's like bouncing across all the debris, and there's this chair.
It's like,
Yeah, Leaf knew. He's like, there are less houses than there used to be. Like it was the perfect setup.
but the fact that they used the houses as like to trap them in, it's like, I mean, it worked.
I mean, I think it's pretty smart. I mean, you're trying to trap the boats. You don't want to damage the boats,
Yep.
so you just level a couple of houses and then dump all that debris and prevent the boats from leaving the channel.
So Askeladd starts sailing up on them with his other ship, and Thorfinn is like, "Oh shit! I immediately regret my decision. I want to be back home."
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they idolize the heroes of legend, and then they don't realize that only like one guy gets to be the hero usually, and the rest don't.
We see Thor's give Thorfinn his dagger and say, "Look, only use this to protect yourself. Don't go out and try and kill anyone. Don't go looking for the fight. If the fight comes to you, use it, but otherwise, stay back." Thorfinn's like, okay, like he's Thor's is telling everyone like, all right, stay back. We got this. Like it's fine. And Thor's just jumps on Askeladd, one of the ships of Askeladd, and just absolutely wrecks the job. Like pirates one through who knows how many. Like absolutely lays the smackdown on the jobbers. Like you're like, okay, this will be like maybe this will be a decent fight. Like 25 versus 1. Maybe Thor's will get hit a couple times. Nope. Thor's like punch, block, throw you off the ship, eat shit, get out of here.
I kind of thought we were watching One Punch Man on this episode because he's just single-handedly with one punch KOing everybody he comes up to.
One punch.
I love Thor's
Wham!
the ultimate broken character.
Oh, it's so good. Absolutely love it. They're charging up with a sword, and he's just like punch in the jaw, punch in the elbow, drops the sword, punch in the face, just taking these guys out effortlessly.
When episode 3 ended, I was very much looking forward to the Thor's versus Askeladd and Bjorn battles. It's like, all right,
Oh yeah,
the jobbers are out of the way. I'm like, okay, we're gonna get 2, maybe 3 episodes worth of fight with Thor's and Askeladd and Thor's and Bjorn, and that was a wrong assumption. But we'll get into that here shortly.
and I have to say, the last podcast I had mentioned that I predicted Thor's was going to die in episode 3, and I was wrong.
Yeah, I had no clue when it was happening, but I also thought that it was going to be episode 3.
I didn't think it would be episode 3. But I also didn't think it'd be in this batch of episodes we're watching this week. Small spoiler for the episode we're about to talk about, but you're joining us, so you probably know what's gonna happen.
I was going to say you guys should have watched these episodes before tuning in with us. I mean, we're happy to have you listening, but you should definitely be watching these before listening to us spoil everything.
Especially because on a whole we're 4 episodes in, but I'm already loving this anime.
Yeah, I got to say, at least for me, I think these 2 episodes got me hooked.
I need to see where it goes. What happens now that Thor's is dead? No clue.
But before we jump into episode 4, it is time for Mike's Beer of the Week. This week's Beer of the Week, it comes to you from Strange Roots Brewing in Pittsburgh, PA. It is their PB&J beer. Strange Roots has 3 locations in Pittsburgh, and they like to experiment with their beers using local ingredients to the Pittsburgh region. They mainly focus on saisons, farmhouse ales, sours. You don't find too many IPAs on their menu. The PB&J is a very sneaky 8.2% sour fermented with Concord grape juice and peanut butter. Personally, I love sours. Like, the more sour the better, and sours are right up there with IPAs for me in terms of my favorite styles. This actually was not super sour. Like, I did not get that sour like face after the first sip that sometimes I get with sour beers. But I really loved this PB&J beer because it had a really nice balance of grape and peanut butter. And sometimes with these peanut butter beers, you get too much power. You get too much peanut butter. It overpowers whatever the accompanying flavor may be, whether it be jelly, chocolate, whatever. Sometimes they just overpower, but this one had a really nice balance. If you can find this beer, I would highly recommend it. And if you're in the Pittsburgh area, I would definitely check out Strange Roots. Their brewery locations are really cool. Uh, I stopped at the one close to Millvale for this one, and they have board games in their little tap room there. And my buddy Lee and I took a couple packs of Magic to open up Magic cards while we drank beer that night while we were there. But yeah, check out Strange Roots. Highly recommend them. Untapped average rating for the PB&J is a 3.92, and I give it 4.25. Episode 4, A True Warrior. The episode begins with Thor's continuing to lay the smackdown on the jabronis on Askeladd's ship. And the animation when Thor's breaks the guy's arm was brutal.
Oh yeah.
Like, you just see him punch his arm, and like, bah, it's like you just see the bone come, like, starting to come out the other end, and like, it's like, okay, arm is straight 1 second, not straight the next.
Yeah, I feel like they brought out all the stops for episode 4 here because, not hopefully not a spoiler because you watched this already. This episode is like mostly a big fight.
I was gonna say, I feel like we don't have much to talk about because of how much of this episode is just fight.
Yeah, it's all like visual. It's a lot of eye candy. It's really really well done, I think.
It's brutal, and like I said, I just love how broken he is. Like, you unlock the secret character in the fighting game, and that character just murders everyone. And that's what this felt like. He's playing a Dynasty Warriors game, like a Musou game. You know, like killing everyone.
And then I love how Thor's throws a guy off the boat and then saves him by throwing an oar at him. Like, here, float on this, you'll be fine.
That's the coolest thing I think about this, and they I think Askeladd mentions it in the end. Thor's does not kill a single person. He just beats the shit out of everybody.
I was gonna say I think he said like 25, 30 men were injured, but not a single one of them died.
Thor's is just awesome.
Yeah, he's just, as he said before, he's tired of fighting. He doesn't want to do it anymore.
So Thor's runs through all the jobbers, and we see Bjorn step up. And Bjorn is the one that threw the spear at Floki in episode 3. And Bjorn's like, all right, I got this. And he eats some mushroom. And people are like, oh no, don't let him do it. The mushroom hits Bjorn, and he goes from regular Bjorn to Super Bjorn. It's
He's that
like,
power up.
it's like, it's like, all right, here we go. Like, so after he ate that mushroom, I'm like, oh yeah, we're in for a fight now. Like, Bjorn powered up. Thor's maybe meets his match here. Like, I'm thinking, all right, we have at least rest of this episode at least is probably going to be dedicated to Bjorn and Thor's. And boy, was I wrong. Like, Bjorn did not stand a chance against Thor's. Like, Bjorn doesn't even get a hit in, and even after he recovers and goes back to fight him again, like, Thor's like, nah, you're out of here. Like, throwing you off the boat. Like, eat shit. And then, like, he throws Thor's and breaks the bridge between Thor's boats and Askeladd's boats.
I really loved how when Bjorn goes, full rage mode, he like all of his crew are like they're jumping into the water to get away. They're like, "Oh, we got to steer clear" when he's like this. And he locks on to Thor's and just like charges him. And then Thor's just punches him in the eye and knocks him over. It's just I like you, Mike. I was expecting like some kind of big battle, and he goes running up to him, and Thor's is like, "Nope," clocks him in the eye, and he just falls down. I was like, "Oh, well, that was anticlimactic, but okay,
Like,
I'll take it."
not how I expected this battle to take place at all. Like, from the limited amount of animes I've watched, it's like, okay, you sort of know how this starts to play out. All right, fight, like, okay, good guy versus henchman, like the right hand man, going to last at least an episode, maybe two.
Yeah,
And here it's like, nope, maybe 5 minutes.
yeah. He doesn't stand a chance. You cannot defeat Thor's in a fight. He's
Yeah,
too
I mean,
good.
usually though, you gotta talk to you gotta talk to the dude. We gotta have a flashback to learn his tragic backstory, how he and Askeladd are actually best friends from when they were kids, or you know what I mean. You gotta give you some reason to care about these people, and then maybe Thor's wins the fight, or maybe talk no jutsu happens where they just you know hash out their differences via discussion in the middle of battle. Oh, but what about the parts where they reveal that it's not really their final form and they haven't been taking it seriously the whole time? Yeah, none of that. And I love this show for that.
I'm gonna blow up your boat in 5 minutes, and, and then it's 30 episodes.
Yep.
Can we talk about how far Thor's can jump? Like, how the hell can he jump so far? And I need that training regimen to jump that far.
Yeah, I mean they showed that in the very first episode where he's just jumping from boat to boat.
But like in this episode, like they were like on the opposite ends of like the channel. He's like, whatever, easy jump.
Yeah, like Askeladd's crew is getting ready, like, well, we're gonna have to go over there and deal with him, and then Thor's is just on their boat, and they're like, what the hell happened?
It's like,
How'd he get here?
hi, I'm here now. Let's fight. So Thor's challenges Askeladd to a duel, knowing that it's the only way to protect the villagers, and especially Thorfinn. And Thorfinn says, "All right, Askeladd, if you win, you can do whatever the hell you want. Like, but if I win, then you and your crew have to leave at once." And Askeladd thinks about it for like, I don't know, like maybe 5 seconds, and he agrees to a duel. He's like, "All right, fine, you're on." And before the duel starts, Thor's asks Askeladd if he has a wife and if he has any children. And when Askeladd says no, you could just tell something clicks in in Thor's head. Like, all right, I don't have to hold back. Like, this dude doesn't have a family. I can go full force if I have to.
I think you can visually see his face change in the animation when he's like, "Do you have a wife and children?" He's like, "No." You can see Thor's face change. Like, all right, this is I'm into full fight mode here.
I was almost waiting for Askeladd to be like, wife, no. Children, not that I know of.
A guy like Askeladd, maybe.
Like, it seemed like it would fit his character.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, he's like a real scumbag,
Yeah.
and you just definitely could see that.
Or even like, it's wives, not wife.
Yeah, he's one at every port.
He's like, love's supposed to be multiplied, not divided. So duel starts, and Askeladd tries to use a cheap trick with slicing down the sail to use that as a distraction. And he is way faster than I thought he would be. And he gets a hit in on Thor's, and almost, I don't know, maybe to me, it felt like Thor's let him get a free hit in.
I don't know. I mean, I think Thor's was actually shocked at how fast he was too, and I don't think he was expecting the dirty trick, but he was still able to dodge it enough where it was not a fatal wound or anything. So I think he was actually caught off guard a little bit. Like, oh, okay, that was kind of impressive.
So this is the first real fight we see through 4 episodes. And I absolutely loved the animation of the swords crossing, how you got the sparks coming off, and like there was a close up of the two swords crossing at first, and I'm like, that was like visually it was really well done. And like then you see the two of them fighting each other, and they're just reading the attacks of each other so well. I'm like, hmm, this is gonna be a rivals to friends situation, isn't it?
Yeah, I was wondering that too because he accepted, or is it this guy's his motivation's money? So you're thinking maybe he could be convinced otherwise.
And like
You know what I mean?
he's even wondering like if Floki is planning a trap against them.
Which, as far as we know, didn't happen.
Yeah.
But maybe next episode.
So they're fighting. Askeladd realizes that Thor's sword is about to break. And so he goes in for the attack. His sword breaks, and Thor's knew it was gonna happen, and he plays a trap, like plants a trap on Askeladd, and he gets the upper hand on Askeladd, and he gives Askeladd the chance to surrender. And Askeladd, like you could tell he's like seriously considering it, and he's like, I can't say those words. Like I'm their leader. I can't say it in front of my men. And then he asks Thor's, "Hey, do you want to become our leader?" And everyone's like, "What? What?" And he's just like, "Just kidding."
Yeah, he's almost like playing into an anime trope, where it's like you've earned my respect, and we will now follow you, and then like that actually happens in some anime. And a
Yeah,
new
that's
party member obtained, Askeladd.
that's definitely a trope. I kind of like that they didn't go with that. Askeladd is an interesting character. I'm not sure how I feel about him. Like, yeah, he's kind of a scumbag, but he also has this weird sense of humor, and I'm wondering how much of him we're actually going to see in this show.
And he does have very little, but at least some code of honor, as we'll see soon. That he doesn't take all these people straight into the slave trade. I think, unless I misread that at the end of the episode.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I thought he let Leif and the villagers go
That's what I
because they're
thought. Yeah.
only towing one boat behind.
And not to jump ahead, but in that ending clip there, he Askeladd looks like he feels pretty shitty about how everything went down. I think he really grew to respect Thor's.
I think so too. It's just like it's a real crappy way. There's zero honor in just being like, all right, guys, I can't win. Just rain the arrows down.
So yeah, we see Bjorn doesn't honor the duel after he awakes from getting knocked around by Thor's and the mushroom wears off. And he takes Thorfinn hostage. And Askeladd's like, yeah, I was never honoring the rules of the duel. And like it's like, all right, we're in a standoff. Like Bjorn has Thorfinn hostage, and Thor's is ready to appear what appears to be ready to kill Askeladd. And it's like, all right, who's gonna bend first? And it seems like okay, Bjorn's gonna let Thor's go and everything. And Thor's throws his sword into the water, and Askeladd proclaims Thor's the winner. And when he raises his hand, the archers loose their arrows at Thor's. And Thor's then begins to die a very slow death, talking to everyone, like pretty much getting his goodbyes in. He's like, Leif, please deliver my head to the Jomsviking leader so he doesn't take any of this out on the village. And he's like, oh, Askeladd, please, like, let my crew get back, like, let them leave, and yada yada yada. It's like this whole thing with Thor's death scene is not how I expected it to play out. Like, it makes sense looking at how powerful Thor is that he's gonna need like some cowardly way to die, but I did not expect it to happen in this episode. and I did not expect it to just be like from arrows. Granted, it was a shitload of arrows. Like I thought it would be in like the death would happen in some big glorious fight.
Instead, he has like 8 arrows sticking out of him. He just turns. He's like, "Askeladd, I won the duel. Keep your promise." And I'm like, does no one else see the arrows? Like they're just talking. Like, yes, I will withdraw my troops at once, right? And you're like, no one's freaking out right now. Everyone's just like, "Yep, this is what happened." He's like writing his last will and testament as like more blood is appearing. I'm like, this is almost a comedy. Like, see how many arrows are sticking out. There's one in his neck.
I'll be fine. I just need a nap.
Yeah, this is the like 'tis a flesh wound type of deal.
Yeah, but this I really like this scene. I thought it was great. I mean, it took all the underhandedness and everything to stop Thor's, but then again, like Thor's just lets it all happen. I feel like if he wanted to like block or dodge those arrows, he could have, but he just decides like this is my time. It's going to save everybody else. It's going to prevent, the other Vikings taking over his village because he didn't show up, and he just lets it play out to save everybody else.
So after Thor's dies, we see Thorfinn crying on a ship. And he's like, why did Thor's have to die? Why is Askeladd still alive? Why did my father say a warrior doesn't need a sword? Like he's having a very like obviously it's a very emotional time. Like his father just died, but he's almost having like an existential crisis as well. Like why would he say a warrior doesn't need a sword? Like of course a warrior needs a sword.
And he still doesn't understand the message that Thor's was trying to teach him in episode 2, where no one has any enemies. You don't need to fight. You don't have to fight. And, Thor's chose to go out his own way, and Thorfinn just does not understand this yet.
So we actually learned that Thorfinn stayed on his father's ship that is being towed by Askeladd. Like when we see him on the ship, we're like, okay, he's just crying. Like Leif and everyone else are up on top deck, and he's down below deck crying and like upset about Thor's death. No, he's decided to be sneaky again, and he he comes out, and there's an intensity in Thorfinn's eyes that was just incredible. Like, and he yelled, like, looks at Askeladd, and he's like, "I am going to kill each and every one of you for killing Thor's. Like, if it is the last thing I do."
Yeah, again, I'm going to throw big props to the animation here, which I had to look it up because I forgot. Wit Studio animated season 1 of this show, and really, really great facial expressions on these characters again. And yeah, the eye scene where you just see Thorfinn's eyes, they are intense. And it's a little frightening. I'm like, this is a 6-year-old kid and he's scaring me with this look.
But
So really
for
good.
me, I it's I view it as like an anime cliche. Oh, their eyes. Oh, you know what anime I've seen where they're just like people are like in combat with someone, all of a sudden the person looks really angry and they're like, "Oh my gosh, guys, can you believe it? Their their eyes. Oh, no, I had my composure together for battle, but they looked really mean and angry. So now I can't fight as effectively." Like that it happens all the time in anime. So that's a trip they fell into.
So the episode ends, and as the episode's ending, I'm just like, Askeladd's totally going to be Thorfinn's mentor, isn't he?
Yeah, I can definitely see that happening.
I can see that happening too. Yeah, like until I feel like he could be Thorfinn's mentor until Thorfinn's like, "Ah, I finally feel like I have enough training," and then just murders the guy. Gosh, I hope that's what happens.
That feels likely. So, what did you guys think of these 2 episodes?
They rocked. Give me more.
Yeah, I feel like these 2 episodes kind of got me hooked. The first 2 episodes, like as an introduction, I'm like, all right, Thor's is a cool character. Um, I'm not sure what the vibe of this show is yet. I'm not sure how to feel. These two, I'm like, all right, I have a better understanding, I think, of what this show is, and I'm definitely on board now.
I really like both these episodes. I feel like I'm gonna like most of these episodes. Now that Thor's is dead, I think it feels like I mean, obviously we're going to get into the meat of the show. Like these first 4 episodes played as a nice little prologue to Thorfinn's story, and now we're getting into chapter 1.
It does kind of feel that way. Yeah.
And now it is time for the waifu of the week. Turtle, who's your waifu this week and why?
Well, I feel like there is only one option, and it's Thor's, because he's awesome. It's also, I guess, the last time that we can pick him, because, well, he's dead. As it's not a shock, the summary from the last podcast kind of revealed that Thor's was going to die, and I predicted he was going to die in episode 3, and I was wrong. He died in episode 4. But Thor's is, he's a great character. Like I said last week, I'm a really big fan, and he is a great warrior who no longer wants to fight, but will still protect. So he's not measured by the size of his muscles, but by the size of his heart.
Sean, who do you pick this week and why?
For me it was also Thor's, but I don't think that my summary will be nice and neat and wrapped in a bow like Turtles was. But let's face it, if Thor's wanted to kill every one of those men, grab a shield, block the rain of arrows, then just start climbing up the freaking mountain, like after those archers, he could have done it. It would have been easy for him. He could have killed every single one of those people, but he didn't want to, because he's a better person now. But, you know what else is good? Not being killed and making your kid an orphan.
Oh my god.
I mean,
But still, he's still the coolest dude we've seen in this entire show by a large margin. So, yeah, that's how I feel about that. So, Thor's, I understand that you're a plot device, so you had to die to move the plot forward. But we're really sad to see you go, because the show might be better if you were the main character.
That being said, I would be very interested to see a spin-off show where it starts here and Thor's does exactly what you said and just kills everybody. I would like to see that.
That would be pretty cool, actually.
I'm actually going to go not with the low-hanging fruit, just because of his damn toxic masculinity bits in episode 3 that made me really pissed off. So I'm going to go Yova for just the fact of her, like, the scene of her shutting all the suitors down was hilarious. And then she's like, I hope they don't die.
So we're saying if Mike was in the village, he would have been suitor number 4.
And my mom would have showed up to embarrass me.
It's in the contract.
Thank you all for joining us this week as we watch Vinland Saga. We hope you join us next week for episode 17 of the Anime Banter podcast, where we will watch episodes 5 and 6 of Vinland Saga. Please give us a 5-star review on all platforms that allow reviews. If you are listening on YouTube, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Turtle, do you have anything you would like to plug?
I plug it every podcast. Check out my YouTube channel, RPG Treasure Trove. A friend and I play an RPG game, couch co-op style, and just talk and have a good time. So if you're into that, please check me out.
Sean, do you have anything you would like to plug?
Yeah, right now it's the Demon Files podcast, as I do every other week.
And I know this episode, if you're listening to this episode when the day it goes live, Techo is happening this weekend in Pittsburgh at the David L. Lawrence Convention Center. So if you're listening to us on Friday when this show drops, please come out and check us out. We'll be there on Saturday and maybe Sunday. And Sean will be there. He was there yesterday on Thursday, and he'll be there all weekend. So check us out. We'll be at the Demon Files booth. The Anime Banter podcast can be found on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you all for joining, and we will talk to you next week.